Hey, what's going on, everyone? I just wanted to make a video real quick about the engraving system because it seems like a lot of people are confused and don't really understand them. So if you hit Alt-I, you can bring up your engravings menu. Now, these are your combat engravings and these are your class engravings. So the class engravings are specific to your subclass, and your combat engravings are accessible by any class or subclass. Now, the way that you get these are from multiple sources. One, the biggest thing is your ability stone. Your ability stone has the most amount of nodes that you can get, but it can only have the combat engravings. It cannot have your class engraving. Now, jewelry, so everything on this side of the character menu here, jewelry will have a chance to have your class engraving on it, except for the dungeon gear. If you have the gear from the dungeon specifically, and I'm talking about these over here, this Abyss dungeon, any of these, the jewelry that drops from any of these, will have a 100% chance to have a class engraving. It could be the right one, it could be the wrong one. And the other way is to equip them on your character here via the books. So you have your regular books, and then you have your class engraving books. Now, in order to equip them here, you have to first equip 20 of the green books. So green books first, so you equip 20 books, and what that will do is it'll allow you to have access to it here, kind of like I have this adrenaline here. And if you equip 20 green books, it will give you 3 nodes per. So you see how I have 2 here, that's going to give me 6 nodes, which guarantees at least a level 1 engraving. So if you hover over the engravings here, you can see you need 5 nodes to get the level 1 effect, 10 nodes to get the level 2 effect, and 15 nodes to get to level 3 effect. Now, some engravings don't need a level 3 effects, and some require level 3 effects to be useful. So that being said, that is what they are and how to get them. Now, which ones you use and which ones are good for your class is dependent on multiple things, which class engraving you're running, as well as which class you're playing. Now, I won't get into the specifics here or anything like that. What I will do is I'll pull something up on the screen, as well as I'll leave a link into the description to basically just like a little Excel spreadsheet of what's good on what class. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to ask, well, how do I get those books that you're talking about in order to equip them? Well, there's quite a few ways to get them. One easy way, if you don't feel like doing a bunch of grinding, is the Chaos Dungeon vendor here. These books here at the bottom, you have access to 20 green books, and then when you get to tier 2, 20 blue books, and then tier 3, I believe that there's actually, I guess there's no books for tier 3. Well, anyway, so tier 1, these books, keep in mind, they are limited 20 for your entire roster, which means that all the characters on your server, you can only loot 20 of these. They're not weekly, so once you get all 20, you can no longer get them ever again. That's probably the easiest way, but I mean, personally, what I do is there's a ton of islands, and I can also leave a link to an island Google Doc, which will tell you which islands have engravings and which islands have like mats, and so that's where I got most of my books, is from islands. Now, they can also drop from, I believe, Guardian raids and your Abyss dungeons. They drop quite frequently in the Abyss dungeons, but it's random. You don't know what you're going to get. Like, these are some I had left over from the other day. And if you look at the market value of these, they're not very expensive. Like, for blue books even, they're only like a gold or 2. It's because these engravings specifically Melon really uses. So I hope that gives a basic idea of what they are and how to get them. But if I'm going to be honest, anyone who's still in tier 1 or even tier 2, like I'm still in tier 2, the engravings aren't really that important until you get to tier 3, where you have access to an easy number of level 3 engravings. So like in tier 3, you'll have 3 to 5 maxed out engravings. So if you're hanging around in tier 1 and tier 2, like honestly, I wouldn't even worry too much about engravings. The jewelry on the right hand side here, the stats, the bonus stats for your class, are more important than the engravings, in my opinion. Now, that being said, I personally like to run, at least on my Soul Fist here, rank 1 of the class engraving, right? So depending on what class you are, you know, some are way better at rank 3, and so you could focus on getting that, which is pretty easy considering you can get them from the Abyss dungeons. But I personally, I focus on tier 1, like level 1 engraving, and then I just happen to have adrenaline because I learned 20 books and then got a few pieces. I got the ability stone. So between the ability stone and the 2 pieces, I was able to get a rank 3. But the stat allocation is actually more important than the engravings for both tier 1 and tier 2. So depending on which class you are playing, you will have certain stats that are better than others, and I would prioritize stats over engravings most of the time. I hope that covers most of the engravings and gives everybody a general idea. I didn't want this to be a super in-depth guide, just a basic understanding of the engravings and what they are. So if there's anything I didn't cover or any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will leave all those documents I was talking about in the video description. Thank you for watching. See ya.